Garen Derfel, the Gazette's award-winning health reporter, breaking a story now. You know, given everything we've been through in this province, and when I said cyclic a moment ago, and this kind of, I hope, doesn't mirror this, but it's beginning to look like it will, maybe this shouldn't come as a surprise. A disappointment, yes. A surprise, perhaps not. Aaron Derfel wrote a story. It says Santé Quebec is still going to be using paper records as it still moves, should have been the word, I guess, to digital files. He is on the line. Aaron, thanks so much for the time. And let's just jump right in here. So what have you discovered, and how significant is this?
So it is a bit of a surprise. You would think that moving to digital health records, you're supposed to cut down on paper charts. And in the case of these two pilot projects, one of which will be in the North Montreal Sacré-Cœur Hospital and Fleury and Jean Talon hospitals, the nurses are still going to have to take down the vital signs from the monitors on paper. Sometimes they do it on their latex gloves, and that raises the issue too of transcription errors, right? Because when you're taking down the information,
sure,
and then you have to go to the nurse's station, you have to input it into a keyboard, etc. So the whole idea behind this was to reduce paperwork, to streamline everything, to make it more efficient. But they've excluded the vital signs monitors outside of the ICUs everywhere else, right? So on the various wards, simply because they just didn't have the budget for it. And this project, the two projects already, the budgets are $402 million. They've already spent about $280 million. And it's been delayed several times. Santé Quebec is in charge of it, and they've delayed it until May, 4 months from today. So it's worrisome. I didn't see anything really to suggest that this is moving in the right direction.
How can this be happening yet again? And you say in the piece that it's now, at this date, over budget by $135 million from initial projections. How do we get here?
You know, that's a really, really good question. It's what I found out today is each hospital has like 200 different computer systems. You know, all the different pieces of medical equipment, they all have their various types of software. And then they signed this contract with Epic Systems in Wisconsin. That's a leader in this field. And you have to integrate all these systems. It's extremely complex. You have to buy equipment that can upload the data into the computer system. And it is mind-boggling. But you mentioned SecLic. It's the same thing, right? There have been huge cost overruns with the driver's permit website, and again, I see nothing with this, and we're just talking about two pilot projects, right? One in the north end of Montreal, and the other in the Mauricie region. When they roll this out across the province, it could be in the billions of dollars.
Okay, but here's my question. You also point out, and I think it's worth going back and remembering, when Gaëtan Barrette was the health minister at the time, right, in the Liberal government, this project, this digitizing Quebec's medical records, we've been talking now. This is more than 20 years that this has been discussed, right?
Exactly, and at the time it was Canada Info Health, the Canada Health Infoways. I forgot the term exactly, but the federal government had pumped in money, about $1.6 billion. Again, where did this money go? How did it vanish? Did it just go to these consulting firms? I know that there are systems already, like there's one that was called CrystalNet, another one that's currently in use, Oasis. But when we're talking about the vital signs, St. Mary's Hospital, for example, it uses one system. I know the Jewish General uses another system, and you would think that logically it should be simpler, but for whatever reason, it's infinitely complex. A patient comes into the ER and you have to input this information, and then there's medications. It's like a dizzying array of indicators that are unpredictable because human health, you can't really predict all these things. It's incredibly complex, and one of the concerns is once they implement it, it could lead to a dip in productivity because the the medical staff, they have to learn the ropes, if you will.
Sure.
And so you know that with practically anything, right? But the healthcare system right now is understaffed. It's under a lot of pressure. So is our healthcare system robust enough to be able to make that adjustment, a difficult adjustment that could take years to make? And that's why they're just rolling it out in these two pilot projects.
Yeah, but with respect to taking years to get here, I mean, it's been years, right? 2001 is when they started doing this, according to the article. It's 2026.
Yeah. In asking the question, you're asking me to defend it. I can't really defend it. It boggles the mind.
No, the Santé Quebec has to defend. I mean, if the idea was to set up Santé Quebec, I'm guessing this would have been in their wheelhouse, right? Continuing the digitization of this?
And this is the problem with Santé Quebec. They've got a lot of executive turnover. You'll recall a few months ago they fired the number 2 person, Frederic Abargel. They fired their VP of communications. And they now have a new VP of communications, Julie Lucier, who is Christian Dubé's former chief of staff now. Christian Dubé, of course, he resigned as health minister. And that raises another issue, too. So, you have an election coming up next October, right? And Christian Dubé, he stepped down. Sonia Bélanger is the health minister. Like, to what extent will Santé Quebec and the current CAQ government, to what extent will they really be invested in this, given that an election is just is almost around the corner? Right. So again, it's just one of these things that's really complicated. And Epic Systems, it's being sued in Texas. There are problems with it. And in Quebec, there's the added linguistic wrinkle because Epic it's a U.S. system and it's in English. And there have been complaints to the OQLF that, the terminology, et cetera, it's only in English. So they have to work out a lot of glitches and kinks to get this running smoothly.
I don't know if this is a fair question or not to ask you, but given the situation, the fact that we're losing money, we spent so much over budget. I mean, literally since the get-go, but not getting any better. Was setting up Santé Quebec the wrong move in your opinion?
I think that already we've got a gargantuan bureaucracy with the health ministry. And I can't understand how setting up a parallel bureaucracy can improve things. What I know from speaking to clinicians, whether it's cardiologists or surgeons or administrators, they find that Santé Quebec has complicated matters because they now have to communicate with both the health ministry and Santé Quebec. So it just raises the question: why does what's Santé Quebec doing? And when Christian Dubé was in charge, he would often very quickly reverse some of the decisions that Santé Quebec took. So I haven't seen anything that would suggest that Santé Quebec has made the healthcare system more efficient. In fact, I would argue that it's made it less efficient.
Which I guess answers the question. Listen, when you run a quote that says, when you talk to a source here, talking about the digitization and the fact that it's, sort of been, if I use the term half-ass up until now, and the quote is, it's completely stupid. And that's a reaction from someone who works in the system.
Yes, a very, very senior source in the system, very, very knowledgeable, very competent, who's not that impressed with Santé Quebec or with the way that the digital health records, which in French is dossier santé numérique, that's being executed. This source who basically tipped me off to this, and then since my story ran, I'm hearing from other people. So again, I think this is shaping up to be perhaps worse than SAC-CLIC.
Oh, perfect. Great. Well, there's a nice way to head into the weekend, everybody, and find out that that's what the health system now looks like. Aaron, great work, as always.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
Or the free iHeartRadio app.